Emmerdale's Beowulf faces even more hardship next week, as fresh evidence found inside a storage unit linked to Ray Walters and Celia Daniels leads DS Walsh to suspect he was part of their criminal operation. The damaging findings indicate that Ray was transferring money into an account registered under Bear's name, implying that he may have benefited financially from the illegal activities. Bear is shocked when DS Walsh presents the so-called proof, then puts forward her theory that he and Ray were working together. According to an Emmerdale source, even though Ray and Celia are no longer alive, their actions continue to ruin Bear's life. Anyone who saw what Bear endured at their farm knows the immense suffering he went through. However, DS Walsh is determined to prove that he was not a victim, but instead a willing participant. Bear's past statements are now also working against him, as anything he said during his interviews about Ray can be used to strengthen the case against him. He previously mentioned that Ray told him he would be looked after, which is now being used to raise suspicion. What investigators fail to understand is that Ray used emotional control to manipulate Bear, making it extremely difficult for him to escape. An insider explains that there may have been a psychological attachment between them, with Ray occasionally showing kindness that kept Bear emotionally connected. That bond, once important to Bear, may now be the very reason he could face prison. For Paddy Dingle and Bear's loved ones, the idea that he could be seen as a mastermind behind the crimes is almost impossible to accept. However, attempts by Paddy and Dylan Penders to hide the truth about Ray's death have unintentionally damaged Bear's reputation, making him appear capable of serious wrongdoing. As a result, suspicion has now shifted toward Bear, with some believing he may have killed Ray to gain control and keep the profits for himself. After everything that has happened, Paddy struggles to accept the possibility that his father could be blamed for the crimes committed by Ray and Celia. With DS Walsh now convinced of his guilt, the question remains, can Bear find a way to prove his innocence? Emmerdale spoilers suggest that Moira Dingle may finally be saved, as her court case takes a surprising and unexpected turn. Moira has been in prison for several weeks, facing charges related to modern slavery and murder. The murder accusations have now been dropped, but the modern slavery charges still stand. These charges were built using evidence that Robert Sugden planted to frame her. Although Moira is innocent, the situation has become so overwhelming that she considers pleading guilty just to end the ordeal, serve her sentence, and return to her sons. This would be devastating, as it would mean a longer prison term based on a false admission. Robert is consumed by guilt, knowing he is responsible for Moira ending up behind bars. Desperate to fix his mistake without exposing himself, he visits Bear in prison and urges him to provide evidence that could clear her name. Robert's actor explained that his character sees this as his final chance, a desperate race against time. He knows that the only way to truly help Moira may be to confess everything he did, including planting the evidence, even if it means facing prison himself. At the same time, Aaron is searching for proof, concerned about the toll the situation is taking on Mac. When Paddy learns about Robert's confrontation with Bear, he reacts angrily, but the situation is interrupted when Sam reveals that Kyle has gone missing. The whole village joins the search, but Robert is the one who finds him. During their conversation, Kyle reveals he overheard that his mother intends to plead guilty, leaving him deeply upset. This moment pushes Robert to make a life-changing decision. He feels he must confess the truth. He is prepared to go to prison if it means saving Moira from a long sentence. However, Moira has already decided to plead guilty, creating a tense race against time to stop her before it's too late. Kane tries to convince her otherwise, but fails. Then Bear comes forward with a crucial piece of information. He reveals that he hid a number plate linked to Ray Walters inside a storage unit. Robert and Aaron rush to the storage facility, only to be overwhelmed by the number of units. Just when they think they've hit a dead end, a memory of a key found earlier provides them with a breakthrough. With luck, they may have finally uncovered the evidence needed to save Moira before she appears in court. Emmerdale's Zoe Henry has expressed a desire for an unexpected new friendship for her character, Rhona Goskirk. Rhona has been facing a difficult period recently, as she finds herself torn between her husband Paddy Dingle and her lingering emotions for her former partner, Graham Foster. After months of this complicated situation, upcoming episodes will finally see Rhona make a decision about her future. With the risk of hurting more than one person, the vet will rely on her friends for support as she deals with the emotional fallout. The actress who plays Rhona has suggested she would like to explore a new and unlikely on-screen friendship. She said she would love to work more with Emma Atkins, explaining that Rhona and Paddy Dingle already share brief interactions but could benefit from more shared scenes. She also expressed interest in working more with Laurel Thomas, adding that both actresses are close friends off-screen. Although Rhona and Charity have very different personalities, one being direct and the other more sly, their contrasting traits could create an engaging and entertaining dynamic. Their differences in handling situations might allow them to learn from one another and see things from new angles. The actress also shared her thoughts on the love triangle, saying she would be disappointed if Rhona's marriage to Marlon came to an end. She highlighted her long-standing working relationship with the actor who plays Marlon, noting that their real-life friendship enhances their performances and creates a natural connection on screen. She went on to say she would feel very upset if Rhona's extended family dynamic were to be broken up after she makes her decision. She spoke fondly about the group of characters she works with, describing them as a close-knit unit that she values greatly. Emmerdale has finally revealed the dark link between Graham Foster and Coronation Street's Jodie Ramsey, bringing a long-running mystery to an end. The storyline began during the crossover event, where Jodie was discovered tied up in the back of Graham's van, setting the stage for the connection between the two characters. After the incident, Jodie made her way back to Weatherfield and confided in her sister that she was being pursued by an abusive former partner. The situation reached a dramatic peak when, during a visit for Rhona Goskirk, Graham was found injured and unconscious on the floor of Kim Tate's stables. Once he regained consciousness, Graham checked that the attackers were gone and insisted that Rhona leave, refusing to involve medical help or the authorities. However, under pressure, Graham eventually admitted that he had been hired by a group to eliminate Jodie, but failed to complete the task. As a result, he was attacked as punishment for letting her escape. He explained that his failure led to severe consequences, as he had been contracted to deal with her, but instead allowed her to get away. After Rhona treated his injuries, the pair shared a close and emotional moment, though Rhona ultimately rejected his advances. Their encounter was interrupted when her husband walked in, leading him to return home and cancel their plans. Emmerdale continues to air on weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX.